Hi there. One of my least favourite jobs, and I don't know why it is one of my least favourite jobs, but it is taking a swing arm out. It's a bit like going to the gym. The hardest thing about going to the gym is getting through those doors. Once you're through the doors, it's no bother. I'm taking it out because it's got acid staining on it and it's a bit scabby and rusty looking. So it's one of the things that catches people's eyes, and it's not a big job to renovate it and make it look really very nice for very little expense indeed. So it's just something I need to do. So I'm going to show you how long it takes to get a swing arm out of a Kawasaki KZ650. Okay, here goes. Let's get some tools. Just take the split pin out that's holding the axle in. It's not the right size split pin anyway, it's far too small. Never mind. Split pins we have. I want to put my gloves on and save me end up looking like a tramp. Okay, I'll just undo this nut here just to release the axle a little. Oh. That was over tightened, which doesn't help. I'll loosen the run across the frame. You'll notice this is the same one that I took its panels off last week, 2 weeks ago, and I've got them back now and got it closed back on, and it looks loads more like a bike, which is always lovely. It's just one of the things that one of the steps towards getting it back together again. Same size. And while I'm there, I can polish this hub up, which is really quite tarnished and sad looking. Some B-mill socket somewhere. That's a 14. Right, there's this on the thing. The grab rails are missing off this, and I don't know why people do that, unless they're just really in a poor state, but there's no accounting for some people, and the amount of bikes I get that someone's had a rush of brain to the head and they've painted all the chrome silver with a spray can, and you think they must have lost their marbles to do something like that. But so all you spray paint guys out there, will you stop it? That's undone. I need to undo the torque arm. No. I have the right size R clip in, surprisingly. And while I'm in there, I can also change the brake shoes because they're quite badly worn. And I can put some new chrome nuts on these because chrome bolts at the bottom of the shocks. I've got some new shocks coming, they're not here yet, but they'll all rusty and tired looking at, and it takes so little to change them and they look great, so why would I not just put new ones on? I don't know if I told you, it was about 25 past or 5:30 in the evening. It's a lovely spring evening when I started doing this. So let's just see how long it takes me to do this. Take the chain guard off. It's like all these things, once you actually start doing it, it's not a big deal at all. Once again, you know, these are, I don't know if you can see them, they're all rusty and nasty looking, so I'll put new ones on. Just take the chain guard out so we can get the wheel off more easily. Wriggle that forwards. Take that off. Those little gizmos that live in the end of the swing arm as well. Forget what these are called. Hello, darling.
Dad!
Hello, little fella.
I missed you.
I missed you too, darling. You come to help.
I'm happy to see you.
Are you, darling? This is where it all falls apart. Don't leave my tools, darling. Best thing in the world being a dad, isn't it? Look, I should take the shocks off it before through that, and I could use that round and no bother. But I'm getting carried away with myself, so we'll just pop the shocks off the end there now. Just sneak it over there. The chain. There we are. Swing arm is out. How long that took? I bet it wasn't any more than 10-15 minutes. It took, well, you'll count it on there. In fact, I'll tell you now. It took about 8.5 minutes. So, what's the big fuss about? So what I'm going to do now, I'll show you why I'm doing it. This is actually not as bad as many, in as much as
Hello, Dad.
hello, darling. I'm just talking to this man. You can see here, this is all rust from the acid from the battery. You know, the battery drain comes down to about there, so it covers us in acid. Usually these are covered in chain oil and stuff as well. We'll give this a good wash off.
Master Jim.
It is, darling, isn't it? Okay.
You bought him for my birthday.
I did, darling. I think we'll leave it right there just now.
Yeah.
Okay, the coast is clear. So what I'll do now, I've taken out the, I can't remember what this is called. Hang on. The coast is clear. I remember maybe a minute before he comes back. I've got the cush drive out now, so I'll clean up the wheel. I don't know how much you can see. Let's just go a little bit closer. Where? So I'll clean all around here and polish this up. The wheel, this is all quite rusty and quite corroded inside, but it's just surface corrosion. Polish all this up. The spokes are really quite tired, as I've mentioned before, but I'm going to clean this off with my Scotch Brite and wire brushes and goodness knows what else. So I'll do that with you and show you, and then we'll paint it. And I'll show you what I use in terms of how I paint these things up. So you can send them off and powder coat them, but then again, some people like paint because they can touch it up rather than having to rely, powder coat. If it gets chipped, you've kind of blown it. But if it's painted, you can touch it up if you got a wee scratch on it. So we'll do that, and let's see if it works out. Hi there. I've got these, the torque arm and the brake back plate and the swing arm off that KZ650 now. And actually, having washed it off in my degreaser, it's not nearly as bad as I first expected it was. It's actually quite clean. But this part here, which is really pretty visible once you look through where the side panels are and stuff, that's the part that people have noticed. So I'm going to give it a paint, and we'll look at what we're going to do with this. But first, let's clean this rust off. It's quite scabby around there where all the acid from the battery overflow has dripped down here and just lifted the paint off there. Likewise, it's run off underneath it, and it's made this part here where the torque arm mounts quite badly corroded. It's not too bad, it's just got through the paint and it's showing just untidy. You can't see this bit, but I'll know it's there. So Mr. Akers, that taught me about engineering about 40 years ago, would be appalled at me if I didn't make it right. So you can see the bits of rust there. So I'm going to clean all this off now. I've not quite decided what I'm going to use yet, so I've got out my box of tricks, and we'll try one or two variants here of these things that I might use. So in terms of what's pretty aggressive, there's this thing here which is the it's Scotch Brite, but it's got emery between each of these sheets, and I hope that I'll kind of get through this stuff and clean it off. Even the bits that are quite shiny, I'll need to rough up to give the paint a key, just to take that gloss off them, and the paint will get a better hold of it. So this part here is where I'm going to start. So let's get my pistol drill, let's put this in. Always tightens up better if you have it going the right way, allegedly. So I'll just take the grease nipple out, because that'll get kind of beaten up, so just take that out. And before I put that back in, put that there, I'll give that a wash out, because I've got the shaft out of it just now as well. So let's just let's see if this will do it. Yeah, that's doing it. This doesn't, of course, need to be perfect. We're not looking for a showroom finish, just something that kind of it'll stop it rusting in the future, and put a nice gloss on the top of it. That's quite deep. That's quite deep, the pitting there. So and I'll just come along here just to take the finish off the paint there. Just to, as I say, to give the new paint a key. Okay, I've cleaned this off now. I'm going to paint it right in front of you. So what do I use to paint these things? My proper paint for my tanks, side panels, tailpiece and all this stuff goes away to a specialist up in the northeast, and I'll give you some details about him at some point in the future. But for things like this that don't need a professional gloss type finish, but they've got to look very presentable, I use just an aerosol, and it's this is the stuff. It's called Hammerite, but it's a smooth. This is a smooth paint. The reason I use this is because it covers well. It's very forgiving in that it's self-leveling, and you get a really nice finish with it, as you'll see when I've done with it. and it's quite tough, and it can be, you can touch it in again later if you were to scratch it or get knocked up in the course of the motorcycle's lifetime. So I'll put a fine mist coat over it just now. I'll do both sides because I'm going to paint it the top end first, then underneath. I'll take it outside, it's a sunny day just now, let it dry off for 20 minutes or half an hour, then I can get another coat on it, and I'll let it harden off overnight, and that can be popped back on tomorrow. But I'll do it right in front of you first, and then we'll have a look at what we're going to do with the brake back plate. I've given this a good shake already actually, so let's pop my gloves on, else I end up covered in. I start doing this and then realise when I'm halfway through it that I've got no gloves on and I am covered in paint. So must be a tiny bit cleverer than I normally am. And we'll just start here and just put a mist painting on, a mist coat. And we'll come over and do the other side. And this is just a mist coating to give a second coat a good key to get hold of in 15 or 20 minutes. Turn it around a wee bit. Make sure I get it all. Okay, I'll just pop this through here so I can move it. And one on the other end. I'll take this outside now and pop it to dry for 20 minutes or so. Okay, let's have a look at the brake faceplate. The arm's a little bit nasty, so I'll take this off and let's have a look. Just ease that in there very gently just to open that up. That should come off. Okay. Should this? That's the polish up afterwards as well. It looks a bit tired, but it's actually in comes in quite a nice state. That could be a lot worse. That'll come up nicely. Okay, how am I going to do this? I think I'll change this for something much less aggressive, and we'll use a Scotch-Brite brush without anything particularly aggressive on it. I'll just clean it up a bit. Should put my mask on because I'm working with this aluminium, but I'll just do a few more minutes just to make sure I go totally bonkers later. And you can see already that's made quite a difference to it. Alright, I'm just going to keep working around this, guys. And when it's done, I'll polish it properly and you can see how it's going to come up. Okay, we've got this a lot cleaner now. How would I use to get it cleaner? Where's my other glove gone? There it is. To get in these bits here, I use my favourite Scotch Brite, which is this, and it's a very floppy pad, this one, as you can see, nice and flexible, and it gets in these bits here. The casting is much rougher in these parts here, so you're never going to get a gloss there like you get here, but that's all kind of hidden behind the, you know, the torque arm and the brake and the, lots of stuff that kind of floats about in there. Well, it doesn't float about at all, it's actually pretty well fixed. If it's floating about, you've got a problem. But I've got this clean now, and I want to polish it. So what am I going to use? So, put that down there. I'm going to use these metal polishing wheels that I've spoken to you about before. So you use the polishing wheel like this, either a small one, that's a rough one. This is also a rough one, but much bigger. And there's a little smooth one here, and a big smooth one here. And I'll use a kind of mix of them all to get into all these little inaccessible places. And in the end, I'll need to do kind of some of these bits by hand once I get, you know, right in these little corners here that are hard to get to. But there won't be much of that. Most of it I can do with the kit. So I'm going to do it again without a mask on because I'm a martyr for you guys. So you get this little brush here in your pistol drill. This is the kind of you call it soap, or I don't know what you call it, cutting compound. So put a little bit of this on. You don't need any more than that, and let's just give this a polish off. And you can see how quickly that's gone up to a fantastic polish. A bit more like that one, you don't need lots. And I'll just carry on. Sometimes it leaves that kind of residue there, you can see on the metal. Can you see that? It puts a residue on it when you're polishing it, but it polishes it off very quickly. And that's your kind of indicator whether or not you're doing all right. See, that's going to look great when it goes back on the bike. For the purposes of demonstration, I'll put the fine brush on, the fine polishing wheel on, and we'll, if you want to get if you need to get the polish off it, if it's looking a bit grubby, just get your wire brush and go like this. And that gives you some clean, no, it's not clean at all, but it'll give you some a nice area to work on and put your polish on, and we'll polish up this area that I've just done roughly. Okay. Right, I think for the purposes of this demonstration, this shows you what can be achieved in a very, very short time, and it gives me the worrying experience of being able to see my face in this. When you look like me, this is not a great experience. But you can see what it's done to this, the area that I've polished. It's almost like a mirror now, and I will continue to polish this a little bit more, and this will look fantastic when it goes back on the bike. I'll change the brake shoes. Believe it or not, I think these are the original brake shoes, made in Japan. Kawasaki part number on them. So it shows how well these things last, but I have some new ones. So I'll polish this, I'll get in these areas here, make it all shine like a new shilling, and it'll have a real wow factor on from when we come and sell the bike. There you are, you can see that, and that didn't take long at all, so thanks for that, guys, and we'll carry on it and I'll see you in a wee bit. Okay, I finished polishing this up now. I may just do a bit more around here, but most of it was done, or almost all of it was done with this little brush here, that little wheel, and its little friend, which is still in the pistol drill. And you can see we've got an absolutely fantastic result here. I'd defy anyone to say that was not 20 minutes well spent when you see it on the bike. It looks great. As I say, the casting in here's always rougher and it's harder to get that about. I may do a bit more work in there and a bit more in here just to finish it off, but I think that's still a great dividend. Okay, I'm going to move it out of the way now. Put that there because I'm going to paint this swing arm up. So I'll move my pistol drill out of the way. I'll go and get the swing arm, bring it in, and we'll put some more paint on that. And we'll do what we did before. We'll paint this side and then we'll turn it over and let it rest. And there. Move that. Oh, we've got a big bee in here. Hello, bee. Come on, laddie, clear off. Right. Gloves on for the reasons I told you before. And I don't know if you can see, but you can actually see through the mist coat I put on. Let's just see if I can hold it up without touching it too much. You can see that there, guys? You can actually see through the mist coat there. But I'm going to put another coat on now, and this will be sufficient, and you can see, and it will level out all this. Sun is just in the wrong place for this one, sorry guys. Sun's dropped since I was talking to you a few minutes ago. And it really is very forgiving, this stuff. You know, even if you're a bit of a donkey like me and you put a bit too much on, it doesn't tend to sag. I'm not saying you can't screw it up, but it's no easy. These are all the bits that catch the eye, so you want a nice finish on there. Okay, that will suffice. Let's just hold that there again and pop it back outside. Okay guys, I think that's it for now. show you these. Well, what we'll do next is we'll polish up the edges of the wheel. As I say, I'm probably going to get the hubs relaced anyway, but in the meantime I still need to polish the wheel up and around the edges of the hub, because they're quite tarnished looking and sad. So you know, now that we've got the brake polished and the swing arms looking nice, or it will be by tomorrow morning, we can work on that and get the bike back together. My shocks still haven't arrived yet in that life, so I'll probably need to put it back together with the old ones on for the time being. Changing the shocks is the work of a few minutes, so that'll do, won't it? Okay guys, let's talk soon. Thank you for your attention.